What if you have to split it with Comcast?
Hey, welcome back to the Math Eye. Warriors down by 3 at halftime. Joe Abramson along with Wayne State Athletic Director Rob Fournier. And Rob, some pretty big news this week for your athletic department, up for a pretty prestigious award.
Yeah, Comcast is going to be broadcasting our games. I mean, that's like record news.
Well, that's been going on for a while, but there's some new stuff too. The 2016 NCAA Division II Award of Excellence.
Yeah.
Now explain what that is.
Well, first of all, the NCAA 317 schools in Division II, and they recognize the top programs that have a community outreach effort. And they identified us as one of those 25 schools in the country. So we're certainly elated over the recognition. And we kind of think the award is not only very prestigious, but the reason it was given to us, the fact that we celebrate women's athletics, we think is something that was long overdue. And I think it just brings more attention to the significance of what we're doing.
That's right, and you have to basically present an event, a specific item, for lack of a better word, and W Week is really what that is. Let's talk about W Week. That always goes on after football and basketball are over. We kind of get involved with some softball with it, but that's a huge event.
Yeah. Well, we started it 7 years ago in recognition of our history of supporting women's athletics. People don't know the role that Wayne State has played in women's athletics. The first woman to ever compete in an NCAA championship was Dasha Shilaroo, a Wayne State diver. And back then in 1975, when she did that, women weren't allowed to compete in the NCAA championships. Now, as we sit here in 2016, that might seem like, I can't believe that, you know, when you turn on the television and you see all kinds of women's athletics. But the reality of it was back then, the NCAA precluded women from competition. And Dasha Shilaroo, who was a very good diver, actually had qualified for the national championship because of her dives, because our coach had just basically inserted her at certain times. And the NCAA was going back and forth when we got to the national championship. Should they allow her? Should they? And why they vacillated, we entered her and she dove. And I always say, once she sent that ripple through the pool, it changed college athletics forever.
Ripple turned into a wave.
It turned into a tsunami. And the point is, W Week is a celebration of women's athletics, and but it has many facets to it. It's not just recognizing our present-day women student athletes, but former student athletes. It has a community outreach component to it. We call it the basic needs drives. The interesting thing about that is all our kids throughout the year when they travel, you know, you go into a hotel and you have the little bottles of shampoo. Well, they collect those. And at the end of the year, they take all of those donations, go to the hotels, combine those, and then they go out to Cass Park and the Cass Corridor and pass it out to homeless people. And it's a good way for our kids to appreciate a little bit more what they have. So it's more than the celebration of women's athletics. There's a present-day component to it as well.
And I know you've always made a big thing about community service with your athletic department, with your coaches, with your athletes, with everyone that's involved. This award's going to be announced next week down in San Antonio, and there's some financial gain to be had if you can actually win them.
Yeah, there's some money involved in it, but I think, as you said, Joe, last year our kids did 10,754 community service hours. But the thing is, we didn't just come to the table recently about community service hours. We were doing community service hours 15 years ago when people didn't even know. They thought service was something you got when you went to a restaurant, and community was a place where you lived. We were doing it when it was not the in thing to do. And, the past 4 years, we've done over 47,000 community service hours. I mean, our past 2 years, we've done over 10,000 community service hours. What our students do, how they embrace the community and their outreach, I think has not only tangible benefits for the people in the community, but our student athletes as well. It's appreciation for what they have.
It's outstanding, and it's another example of what kind of athletic department this is. Let's talk about something else that's been going on. It's been going on for a few years now. Harwell Field finally got that $1.4 million to get Phase 1 going. Ground's going to break this year, right?
Going to break ground. It's going to go to the board here in January. Break ground this spring. Actually, the final number ended up at $1,660,000. So we threw a few more dollars in to make the project come to its realization. But I have heard from so many different people from different parts of the country about the whole Harwell project. And usually when I get an email or a note from somebody, they always add a little story or something about their connection to Ernie Harwell. Somebody sent me one this morning that said, "Oh, it's great to see you reach the goal. By the way, Ernie, we used to do in our family a reunion, and he did a little video for us to do part of our, he just had a whole connection with the state of Michigan and the region." And I just think the Harwell project recognizes not only Mr. Harwell but Lulu and their 62 years of marriage. I think they're like some great ambassadors for what we are here in Detroit.
And that's going to be a great, for lack of a better word, monument to Ernie Harwell. You're going to have an Ebbets Field look. You've got the Fenway Park wall already. You've got the Tiger Stadium scoreboard. You're really tying in a lot of classic baseball franchises.
Well, the fact that this whole area over here at one time had been cleared out as the site for the Olympic Village if the Olympics were held here in 1968. Most people don't know that. So this is all built around an old neighborhood. This Ebbets Field, which is an exact replica of the original Ebbets Field. And if you're a baseball historian or you're into the nostalgia of baseball, you've seen pictures of Ebbets Field, but now to actually be able to walk in and touch it, it's a whole different thing. But the interesting part of it, where we're building it, is on an old street here in the neighborhood. The street was Brooklyn Street. I mean, what is the coincidence, the chance of that happening? I mean, it's just, I just one more aspect that makes it so unique to me.
That is really neat. And yeah, I had heard that actually the building we're sitting in right now, the Mathai, that was partly built because of an Olympic bid that you're talking about. It would be nice, at least now, get that Harwell Field going and get the baseball team a real stadium, not just the Fenway Park field, but bleachers and a press box. Maybe Comcast can do a game or two.
Yeah, maybe 3 or 4. The amazing thing is I get people all the time that come out. Last summer I had a gentleman come from Georgia with his kids, and he said, "Can I go out and see your baseball field?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "There's something you want to see?" And he goes, "I heard you got the old Tiger Stadium scoreboard out in left field." And I says, "Yeah." And I says, "Go out and see it." He goes, "Well, I want my sons to see it. When I grew up, my dad took me to Tiger games. Obviously, there's no more Tiger Stadium. But he said, they just like to see the scoreboard." And they went out there and they spent a half an hour taking pictures. And, it's just a connection that we have being here in Midtown, being in the city. And, we embrace that connection. We think it's something to be proud of.
Well, Rob, it's only going to get better when that field is done. Anyone that wants to still get involved, WSUathletics.com, they can find out all the information there, correct?
They go to the website, click on the Harwell Project. If you want to see the artist renditions of the pitcher, you can do that, but come early this fall, you won't need the pictures anymore. You'll be able to touch it.
Can't wait for that field, and really excited about that award that you're up for next week. Best of luck with that.
All right.
Well done.
Thanks, Joe.
All right. We'll be right back on CN 900.